The following is a presentation of iRacing on PTR TV. We'd like to thank all of our channel partners for their support. Please like and subscribe to the channel, and we hope you enjoy today's broadcast. Germany has one of the most famous racetracks in the world. One of the fastest tracks that Formula One had for years until a reconfiguration in 2002. Hockenheim brings all of the action and all of the history. Tonight, the Red Sox Racing League takes their turn here in the twists and turns of Germany for race number 2 of their 2022 fall season campaign. Welcome everyone to PTR TV for tonight's race here on a Thursday evening. As usual, myself, Corey Silva, in the booth and giving you the technical images here this evening as we have our traditional 35-minute races here again from Hockenheim. I'm not going to bother trying to pronounce the full name because, well, it's just not going to end well for anybody. Of course, last week I was not here to give you the coverage last week as I was on a vacation out of state, but ready for this evening to give round number 2 of tonight's of this current 6-week season that we are currently under for the Red Sox Racing League. Of course, our 6-week mini seasons that this league does compete using. Trying to see if I can quickly scroll up and find last week's results, but as I do that, we are currently under qualifying conditions for our LMP2 class, still giving the same style of racing that we had last season with our GT3s and LMPs, although we do have a big shakeup at the top of the classes, because last season our GT3 lineup absolutely annihilated by Ryan Robertson, who basically just walked away with every single race and won this championship with really no contest. But this season he has switched to the LMP class, where he's currently second on the pylon to Mitch Heller, who we know as one of the fastest guys in this class, kind of sporting a different ride than we saw last season. At least I think so anyways. But the thing with Mitch Heller is he has a lot of self-induced mistakes. He'll be leading races, having great runs, and kind of takes himself out of a lot of the races. So I know that'll be something he's most certainly going to try to clean up on. Ryan Robertson, second on the pylon, and Jason Breifogel with iRacing staff. Remember, he won the championship in TCR about 3 seasons ago, currently third on the pylon. Robert Barros will be leading down our GT3 lineup. Looks like we have about 21 drivers here signed up for tonight's efforts. Pretty even split, I think about 11 in GT3 with 9 or 10 or so in LMP, so kind of a nice split down the middle here tonight. Taking a look at our weather conditions here, 77 degrees in the air, 83 on the track, so a little bit toasty down there, but nothing out of the extreme ordinary. And we will be finishing tonight's race at 8 p.m. sim time. But the sim is based out of May as it has been configured, so I don't think we will have a problem with illumination, but sometimes that indeed is the case. In last week's race was at a traditional track that this series has visited on many occasions at Mossport, and I am just trying to quickly scroll and find the results from it, but I am failing to do so. Well, actually, let me see here. After Mossport, it looks like Ross Booth was the winner in the LMP class, with Paul Lindsay winning the race for GT3. Paul Lindsay, a name that I know I have not seen at least last season, and if I do, I just don't remember him quite well. So he's a relatively new driver to the series. He didn't turn a lap in GT3, so if he is planning on starting the session, he will have to do so from shotgun on the field. The top 5 in LMP being Booth, Dave Hill, who managed to win a race last season, Breifogel, Robertson, and David Berry. With GT3, Lindsay, Hunter, Barros, Kidrowski, and Terry Dahl currently the top 5 in points, as the cool down session is now active, so everybody on track right now can complete a lap as they are kind of heading in to the carousel section, as I call it. 11 through 15, kind of the most technical section here, the stadium section, I think some do call it here at Hockenheim. Sud curve, turn number 16 onto the front straightaway, where you get this the high speeds built up here. Of course, exiting turn number 2, I don't know if Kietzlar is going to allow us to kind of get there on the track before he peels off. You can see right here, the track used to go straight. There was a chicane and the track would go straight into the forest. But that no longer is the case. I don't know if this image will show it. Of course, we're not at the right perspective, but this track used to have a long straightaway through the forest here, and it created the fastest speeds on the Formula One calendar, but also did kind of make the track not spectator friendly, because a lot of the track was kind of confined by the forest. So in 2002, a very controversial move to eliminate the long forest section straightaways and create what is the hairpin in turn number 6. We'll see if we can get that on screen for you. That is the hairpin for turn number 6. The long straightaway leading up to it, Parabolica, kind of the inverse of what the what the forest section used to be. And see, eventually this blimp cam will turn so that we can I can kind of show you what I want to show you with the forest section, but I just don't think that's going to happen before qualifying. So just kind of bad luck of the draw there. But I want to thank everyone for tuning in to PTR TV for tonight's coverage. If you are new to the channel, of course, like and subscribe, as we are trying to continue our growth for the end of 2022. So every last bit helps. But that looks like it is the end of qualifying. So we are going to get that grid finalized and head down trackside and give it to you. The PTR TV starting lineup here for the Red Sox Racing League at Hockenheim. On tonight's overall poll, Mitch Heller with that lap time of 1 minute 27.957. Ryan Robertson, last season's GT3 winner, on the outside of the front row. Alex Keatslar with the 3rd. Les Turner, last season's LMP champion, in 4th. Ross Booth with the 5th. Jason Breyfogle with iRacing staff in 6th. And Todd Marin-Pietri in 7th. Dennis Griffin going to be 8th. And then rounding out LMP is Bill Paulucky with 9th. And then starting our GT3, of course, they'll have the staggered start about 15 seconds or so behind. Robert Barros up front, Peter Baller in 2nd, Mark Kadrowski in 3rd, Shane Hunter in 4th, Terry Dahl in 5th, Andrew Lunsford in 6th, Dwayne McCarthy 7th, Kevin Kyle in 8th, Jerry Mueller in 9th, Ed Sutcliffe running out the top 10, and then just stragglers at the end of the field, Mark Wilson and last week's winner, Paul Lindsay. We will have an abbreviated pace lap here as we are kind of already towards the end of the lap, heading into the stadium section. This is turn 11, which is Mobile 1 corner, into turn number 12, which I believe is pronounced Sash. Again, American who watches predominantly NASCAR, so not very good with the accents there. Just going to blatantly say it. 13 and 14, a little bit of a kink here. And then 15 and 16, a quick double right-hander. It acts as almost 1 corner, although it is 2 corners in technicality. But the pace car will make that right-hand turn into the pit lane, and our LMPs will get ready to fire off here. Getting ready for the Red Sox Racing League. Race number 2, green, green, green. We are underway. Heading into corner number 1 for the first time, using that outside lane to his advantage. Mitch Heller will get the advantage, get the whole shot. And Alex Keatslar will get possession of 3rd. Everybody else trying to get themselves situated here as our GT3s are going to get ready for their green flag start here. That's going to be Robert Barros in the 58 with Peter Mollert, the green machine, to the outside. They're going to go at start finish. And we'll see what they can do. Green flag in the air. They are underway for GT3. We'll see what kind of racing they have going on. Barros with a big hole shot. Top 3 will get themselves, actually all of them will get sorted out very quickly. Very cordial start there in GT3. Of course, going to be heading down into turn number 2. And that's one of the sharper corners here. You'll have a quick little flick back, 3 and 4. And now here we head on the straightaway that has the big turn to it called Parabolica. Of course, Parabolica being a famous turn at Monza, spelled a little bit differently, acts as a straightaway here that leads us into corner number 6. A very, very sharp hairpin, one of the sharpest in motorsport, down to about 35, 40 miles an hour. And we'll get ourselves underway for the right-hand kink, turn number 7. Right here into Mercedes, turn number 8, the 90-degree left-hander. Hard on the binders, good passing opportunity there. Thought we saw an opportunity for a pass there with Shane Hunter, but he chose to stay in line. Heading into Mobile 1 there, you can see the drag strip here at Hockenheim will go off in the distance there, but we'll be bypassing that, and essentially that is a lap here. Again, not much changing of position up there. Going back to LMP, Heller pulls away by 2.5 seconds just in one lap. So great bit of driving by him to pull away already. That is Alex Keetzlar going a little bit wide there at the exit of, I believe it was the hairpin. Now he's going to head into Mercedes turn number 8, hard on the binders. A little bit of a lockup there from Ross Booth. That's going to open the door for Keetzlar to get to the inside of him. Ryan Robertson, last season's winner, champion, he is going to try to get by him. They're going to head out of 10 into 11, turn number 11 in the Mobile 1 corner into the stadium complex here. Very narrow part of the track. It is a slow part of the track and a narrow part of the track, so very difficult to make these big wide LMPs stick at the high rate of speed they are going, and the downforce eliminated with the kind of the one line requirements just to get these things going. You can see how slow these GT3s exit here. I mean, a lot of us are familiar with Montreal, Circuit Villeneuve's in Canada, and how sharp that hairpin is here. Very, very similar here at Hockenheim with how sharp that corner number 6 is, especially in these GT3s, which have a lot less turning ability and a lot less downforce than our LMP counterparts. But Robert Barrows has managed to pull away by 1.3 seconds over Peter Muller. I did get the memo from admin, from Terry Dahl, that last week the top 6 was really under a blanket in GT3. Of course, last season in GT3 turned out to be a little bit of a snoozer with Robertson kind of stealing the show. But last week was a very competitive race at Mossport, as Breyfogle going wide there. Les Turner trying to get something to happen there. As who is that? That is the number 23 of Dennis Griffin, side by side with Breyfogle there into 11. Breyfogle will persevere. Kind of falling back is Breyfogle from his starting position of 6, dropped one down to 7th in class. Just behind him is Dennis Griffin and Bill Pawlucky. But up front, again, Heller just doing, he's running about 0.7 of a second faster than everybody else. Something going on here in GT3. Andrew Lunsford going a little bit wide there. Let's take a look on replay and see what happened to him if we can. I think something went on here in the hairpin. Might need to take a second look at this. That's Terry Dahl just in front of Lunsford. Lunsford with a huge dive into the hairpin, and just absolutely no way he was going to make that corner. And then Dahl was able to get by back on the crossover there, back to live action. I can say, too, as we do have a pass in the hairpin here, Robertson looking to get by Booth and does so successfully. Hard on the binders into the hairpin, successful pass attempt. See if Booth can do anything heading into the stadium complex here. Actually right now where they are in the Mercedes 7, 8, 9, 10 complex here, short straightaway. Now they will head into the stadium section. See if Booth can't stay with him. Heller pulling out even further to 5.5 seconds now. I saw some smoke. Not quite sure where it was from. There is already some GT3 interaction going on. That light blue car, that's Paul Lindsay, who, if I did read the results from last week properly, did win. Again, Paul Lindsay, yeah, reading the sheet here, posted on the 28th of October. Paul Lindsay won. He does have some right front damage, though. Didn't see exactly what happened to him as we were watching other things. He did start last, but yeah, definitely not going to defend that GT3 victory here. As Ross Booth still trying to stalk here the back of Ryan Robertson. He's going to use the slipstream here down Parabolica into the hairpin there. Looks like Robertson ran the defensive line a little bit shallower of an entry. That may hurt him on exit. A little bit of a turtle curve there on the exit of the corner. You have to be careful of these low downforce, rather high downforce, low ride height LMPs do not like being abruptly altered by the curbing here. Just behind that, Les Turner is trying to see what he could do with Todd Baron-Pietri in the 808 machine as they head into the stadium section here, just behind Jason Breifogel, who has pulled away from Dennis Griffin. In GT3, looks like Robert Barros did pull away to about a second and a half, almost 2 seconds. That lead has vanished to now just about a half set, well, 3/4 of a second, as Mark Kudrowski and Mahler starting to make some time up. Shane Hunter not too far back. Terry Dahl about 2 seconds back from Shane Hunter. But realistically, our top four kind of under a blanket here, and Barros really not getting on the binders too well. Actually, he doesn't get on the binders too well for the hairpin. But he really uses the slower entry he takes and maximizes it on the exit. Looks like Mahler is just trying too hard on the braking zone, but he can't naturally convert there, as we may have had a battle. Les Turner was closing in rapidly to Jason Breifogel, but not able to make the pass there. As just in front of that, looks like that is a 65 machine of Kevin Kyle, who is going to slow up Breifogel here. May work out to Les Turner's benefit here in between 10 and 11, but not really much of an opportunity to make anything happen through that sector of the track. See the Batmobile just behind here in the stadium section. A little bit of banking there in that turn number 12. Obviously not much to NASCAR standards, but for European road racing standards, a fair amount of banking in that turn number 12 is entering the pit straight here. Short pit straight, but turn number 1, Nord curve, a quick little flick. You do have to slow down and set the car for it, but you do manage to maintain a decent amount of speed. The little straightaway here into turn number 2. But definitely the battle for GT3 lead is hot and heavy, and we do have an LMP throwing in the mix here to make it interesting, as we're 3 abreast here, entering the hairpin. 58 is going to make a little bit of contact there with Peter Mahler there through the center of the hairpin, as these guys did get surpassed by our overall leader, Mitch Heller. Just kind of made an interesting bit of affairs there. Now we'll see if Mahler can pull away. Of course, slipstreaming here does come into effect quite significantly, so whether he can keep out of the slipstream range and get enough of a gap will be his main goal here, heading into the stadium section. That 43, Mark Kudrowski, kind of getting the Tomato of the Race award because he has the livery that does not match his in-sim car number. I call that the Tomato of the Race award here on PTR TV, so that's why I've been getting thrown off many a time, but he is going to enter the pits. Very early pit stop here, only less than 10 actual minutes into the race. Usually in the Red Sox race, we don't see pit stops till about the 20-minute mark, so different strategy underway here. As it looks like Paul Lindsay has already pit as well, but some more interaction going on. That's Ryan Robertson along with Ross Booth trying to get through our GT3 leaders here. Here goes Booth with a look here into the hairpin. He'll be side by side. He'll have that opportunity and the preferred line on Robertson, but Robertson's going to cook it in deep. He's going to lock it up on the binders here. Booth is going to be able to clear, not quite yet, because he's going to have that momentum from the outside. Booth had to really shorten up his exit there, which compromised his momentum. They're going to go side by side into Mercedes there, and we'll see how well that works for them. So far, still side by side. Booth is finally going to clear, exiting 10 here, now into Mobile 1 corner. Still going to have that momentum. He's going to go a little bit wide into the kitty litter just for a brief moment. Robertson's going to lock him up here. Now heading into the final sectors here into 15 and 16 to complete another lap. A little bit of connectivity issues there from somebody. I think that was Keatslar. But Booth will get sole possession of the third spot back. Peter Mahler is dealing with now Jason Breifogel and Les Turner. They are surpassing him, of course, the LMP drivers, who are 5th and 6th respectively in their class, but Mahler has pulled away by 2 seconds, as Barros is now dealing with Shane Hunter, as they are both being surpassed by Dennis Griffin, currently 8th in LMP. So Mahler has surpassed the slipstream range, kind of has full control of the race at this point in class, and again, up front in LMP, Heller is just putting on a royal clinic, and it boils down to just not having the chronic self-induced mistake. Heller has just been overly known for it, and it's a shame because it's cost him many a win. So he has this race in the bag. Don't time the pit stop. Have a great pit stop. Don't speed. Don't take a conservative amount of fuel. Back it down to 80%. You don't have to fight for this one, Mitch. You got it in the bag, my friend. We'll switch the ticker over to lap times. Let's see a 1 minute 28.1 to Alex Kietzlar in second. We'll see what he is at the line, as Ross Booth is closing in for third, but it's about 0.7 of a second slower compared to Heller. So if he does that every single lap, I mean, that lead is just going to grow exponentially. We have about 14 more laps we're estimating here on the board, so we could have a 20 or so second lead in LMP by the end of tonight's efforts. So definitely a lot of disappointment for our second and third place drivers, knowing that the leader is just that much faster. But Mahler, I don't know what happened. We were obviously following that, but whatever happened, he just lost his lead. Nobody seems to want to lead this thing in GT3. And now Shane Hunter has second, as Robert Barros drops back to third, but Hunter only half a second back here, coming through Parabolica into the hairpin. Already 15 minutes into tonight's race here. Hunter even closer still, heading into the Mercedes corners here. Here comes Mercedes corner number 8. That quick little right-hander here. And then that sets us up for the straightaway into Mobile 1 here at the start of the drag strip. On the binders here for 11. Have the straightaway here. This is where the stadium section, the big set of grandstands. This is Soch Corners, turn number 12. Again, with that banking that I spoke of. Our little flick here, 13 and 14. And then we end the lap with 15 and 16. Again, they are two separate corners, but they act almost as one. And that completes a lap. And though Peter Mahler goes around, race leader for GT3, talked about self-induced mistakes. And unfortunately, it's going to come from our GT3 leader this time. Let's go back on replay and check that out. See, everything looks normal. Oh, did he get... we're going to slow that one down and look at it one more time. Just bear with me here while I try to do things that I don't normally do. Our slow motion replay. He got into the kitty litter there on the entry of that curb, and that just unsettled him enough to put it into the dirt. So he is going to have a tow, and then there is no fast repairs in this series, so that is basically going to be terminal damage. Now Shane Hunter has a 2.5 second lead over Robert Barros, and I don't know if that's going to be in there. It's kind of a shame because it looks like we really had a barn burner on our hands for GT3, and now Shane Hunter just kind of has to go into damage control mode at this point. So of course, again, last week race number 1 was at Mossport. Today, race number 2. Again, race number 3 next week. We head to a modestly new and not popular track on iRacing, but an interesting one nonetheless. The Chicago Street Circuit, of course, just formerly, it was a track that was built based on a real-life scan of Chicago. And iRacing came up with a layout based on the city streets that were available. It is based completely off real data, so it was a fictitious track at the time that was now confirmed to be on the NASCAR Cup Series schedule for 2023. They're using the exact configuration that iRacing provided. So a fictitious track turned into a real track. And the Red Sox Racing League will be taking their turn there next week. A track that offers some very difficult sections, some high-speed sections, a lot of 90-degree corners, kind of going through a narrow fountain section. So that should be an interesting race. We head to Watkins Glen. I cannot remember exactly what configuration it is. I want to say it's just the classic boot configuration, the regular boot configuration. And then rounding up our 2022 season, which it's just crazy to believe that if you're watching this live, we already are towards the end of 2022. But we're going to head to Brands Hatch and then a track that I'm really looking forward to, the Daytona Road Course, because that is a track that I know inside and out. And some of these drivers may be using that race for practice because the Rolex 24 would only be about a month after that race here, because that race would be just before the holiday in December 15th. Of course, I'll be here on PTR TV, so if you're interested in joining the series, of course, you can reach out and get you in the right direction. And if you like what you're seeing, of course, subscribe, tell the friends and family, and let's help grow the view counts and the exposure for the series. But coming up here to closing in on 15 minutes, so about that 20-minute point in the race. This is where we traditionally see most of the pit stops in the series, and haven't seen too many yet. And of course, we saw Mark Kedrowski pit much earlier. Jerry Mueller has pit, Paul Lindsay pit, but he did have some damage, so that's not quite relevant. But still haven't seen any LMPs pit yet, so be interesting to see when that does happen and if there is anything that constitutes any shakeups. Pretty much everybody at this point pretty well spread out. Terry Dahl on screen now, one of the closest battles on track. He's closing in on Andrew Lunsford in the BMW number 995 machine. That is the closest live battle on track. So just kind of taking a look at that. And I don't know, I'm not sure if this race is sponsored, but in case it is, one of our sponsors last season was Anodyne. Anodyne is your trusted source for differentiated products for industrial, aerospace, defense, rail, and transportation end markets. For over 50 years, Anodyne offers a wide range of hydraulic dampers, elastomeric bumpers, and vibration isolation products to meet all your simulation needs. Contact Anodyne at www.anodyne.com. Easiest ad read I've ever done, because for the first time in about 2 months, I don't have an active cough that debilitates me every 30 seconds. I can actually kind of speak, which some people like, some people don't, but it's kind of a good thing as a commentator to be able to speak without breaking into a cough every 15 seconds. But still waiting on our pit stops in LMP, and realistically in GT3 as well. We did have Dwayne McCarthy exit the pits in the Hot Wheels ride. I don't think that's good to do livery for him in that 003. Just exiting the pits for GT3. Still waiting on basically everybody else, actually. Here comes Les Turner. So I think he was running 6th or so. Dennis Griffin, so the tail end coming through and exiting the hairpin right now. A little bit of a GT3 LMP interaction as Ryan Robertson, 3rd on the podium there. We'll get by Mark Kedrowski there. Interesting to note that Heller and Booth did run very comparable lap times last time by, and now I'm not sure if that GT3 had anything to do with it, that Heller may or may not had to go around there. but Booth may have turned the wick up. Maybe he had to just learn the layout, learn the limits of the car here. But he is picking up the lap times here. Might be a little bit too late at this point. Mitch Heller, last time by, is he's going to get stuck behind another one here. I think that is Barrows. Yes, it is. Last time by, a second and a half for Booth, gaining some time there. Andrew Lunsford exiting his pit here. Now the gap in LMP down to 8.5 seconds here as Booth gets by Terry Dahl. Down Parabolica, he'll have a clean shot into the hairpin. Gap down to 7.5 seconds. So at this point, Heller doesn't have a... I mean, 7.5 seconds is still a gargantuan gap here. If we take a look at it from the blimp here, actually the blimp doesn't even go high enough here. We'd have to go to the top-down blimp, which doesn't really show. Actually, you can finally see here, top of the screen right now, top center of the screen, you can see that big forest there. That is where the old track used to go. Parabolica there as it's spinning out of sight there. But that forest on the top right used to be where this track did go. Instead of having that concave straightaway Parabolica, it extended out, and there was a chicane there, but we saw speeds upwards of 210 miles an hour, 220 miles an hour in a Formula One. Into the forest there, and it was a safety concern, and as again wasn't necessarily spectator friendly, as whenever you have cars just kind of going into the middle of nowhere, of course fans can't see it, so very controversial move to update the layout here. Of course, this is what some people call a Tilkdrome. Herman Tilk, famous track designer, did design this layout as one of his first configurations. Some people just absolutely despise Tilkdromes, as I am one of them. Jason Breyfogle in the pits. But this track does kind of have a little bit more flow. It's not kind of just an entertainment-based track. We do kind of love those tracks, you know, such as a Spa, that a Bathurst, that, you know, even a Watkins Glen, that kind of contour to nature rather than kind of just being built on a flat land. So that's kind of what this place is, but, you know, good little mix of both, the best you can do. But Heller, let's just see, take a look here. Last time by, Booth, 0.8 of a second faster, gets the gap into 7.5 seconds at this point. So he's really turned up the wick now. Does Heller, is he just cruising? Is he, let's see what's going on. Well, he's coming into the pits here. Now, this is always a big point in this league, is who's gonna get that pit stop as short as possible. Looks like some of these LMPs are about 11-12 second stops. Let's see what happens here entering the box. Does he have a nice smooth entry into the box? Yes, he does. What's going to be the time on pit road? Oh, Booth missed it. He short stopped his pit, had to pull forward just a skosh. 11.5 seconds of fuel for Heller. Now let's see what Booth did. 10-1, so a slightly shorter stop. Let's see what it equates to on the racetrack. It was about an 8-second lead earlier. Now it is 6.5, 6.75, just under 7 seconds. So again, still a massive gap to overcome. But it's one that's close enough that if Heller has any kind of quick spin, he's not going to be able to keep the lead from it. So he's going to have to drive, you know, he can drive with a little bit of patience. He can drive with a modest amount of patience, actually, but he does have to be mindful that, you know, he doesn't have a huge buffer. As you see, Paul Lindsay still turning some laps out there. Actually, that's, excuse me, Peter Mahler. Paul Lindsay in the blue machine. Running in 9th in class, Mahler shotgun on the field in 10th in class. Shane Hunter, trying to take a look at this now. Now Mark Kudrowski is right on Shane Hunter's tail. Hunter did pit. Now Kudrowski pit 9 laps ago here. So he was the first to pit, and I'm not sure exactly how it worked out, but And that graphic also is not right either. I'm not sure exactly how it worked out, but somehow he has managed to get himself right to the back bumper of Shane Hunter. Now, I don't know what kind of lap time they could do. Jason Breifogel closing in. Of course, he is in a battle with, I believe that is Baron Pietri there. Hard to tell from this angle. No, but it's actually Alex Kietzler. That is actually a live battle on track, so Breifogel gaining some spots here as the race does come to a close. But again, this is actually a live battle. I don't think that Kedrowski has enough based on his best lap. It's 6/10 slower than what Shane Hunter has done. But if he can keep within slipstream, especially down through Parabolica into the hairpin, I mean, anything is possible. Heller and Booth have gotten that lead between the two of them back to the better part of 7.5 seconds. And it looks like slowly Shane Hunter is pulling away here as we head into 6 minutes of racing here. Closest battle on the track is Breifogel and Kietzler. Kietzler with that good qualifying run, but just dropping back 2 spots on the day, where he did have a win last season. Got a little bit loose there on the curb, but keeps it under his control. Currently still in that 5th spot. I'll just kind of do a quick through the field while the opportunity is allowing us to do so. Heller from the pole, still leading this race. Ross Booth started 5th up to 2nd. Ryan Robertson drops 1 spot on the day. Jason Breifogel up to 4th now. Alex Kietzler in 5th. Todd Baron Pietri in 6th. Les Turner in 7th. Dennis Griffin in 8th. And then Bill Paul Lucky in 9th. And then our GT3, Shane Hunter, Mark Kedrowski, Robert Barros, Andrew Lunsford, Terry Dahl, 5th in class. Again, the ticker is kind of showing the overall stat there, as something has gone astray with Todd Baron Pietri. See if we can catch that on our instant replay. On the binders there for Mercedes corner, and just a little bit too much accelerator there on corner exit, and in the little soft loop. No damage, no harm done, just track position loss. Bill Paul Lucky in the 81, again shotgun on the LMP field, but still battles nonetheless. Bill Paul Lucky trying to close in on Dennis Griffin if he can, entering the stadium, because I can't get words out here, through Mercedes here, and then getting ourselves off of 10 into 11 here. Now heading into the stadium section, seeing if he can close in, but looks like Dennis Griffin just kind of maintaining that gap for now in that 23. They'll both have to deal with Robert Barros in GT3 here, so that'll slow up Griffin, which will allow Paul Lucky to get right to that back bumper here off of 16 and onto the front straightaway here. So that'll be an interesting moment as they both get by on the pit straight. Paul Lucky didn't quite have the entry into the corner there, had the shallow entry due to getting by Barros there, so that allowed Griffin to maintain a little bit more momentum, but Griffin just quit. Not sure what happened there, but he just straight just pulled off and stopped. So maybe some technical issue, maybe some emergency going on at home. I don't quite know, but he just flat just stopped. So interesting enough, but I will say it would have been very interesting to know what would have happened if Ross Booth didn't start 5th, because he is running. Overall, their laps have gotten to the point where they're pretty much just break even. Maybe one's faster one lap, one is faster the next lap. But it's just they're just trading blows at this point. So it'd be very interesting to know what would have happened if they maybe started 1-2 rather than Booth having to play from behind, but of course we will never know. Mark Kedrowski starting to gain again on Shane Hunter. That gap now down to a half a second. I think it may be slightly influenced by lap traffic, or rather LMP's getting by at awkward spots on the track, such as right now with Paul Lucky. He's going to try to get by into 2 here, and that may open the door for Kedrowski here on the binders into 2. And now they're going to head down through the flick here into, we'll go on board here with Kedrowski down through Parabolica. He's 5/10ths back, you know, a little bit of slipstream opportunity on the table here heading into the hairpin. Let's see who has the better entry and exit there as they both get surpassed by an LMP. Hard on the binders here into the hairpin. Looks like the LMP is going to go wide, but Shane Hunter lost all of his lead. Now Kedrowski right on the back bumper. This is for the GT3 win here. We're probably coming to the white flag this time by, as let's try to take a scope here of where Mitch Heller is on circuit. He is in Parabolica right now. So we are probably on 2 to go if I'm not mistaken right now. So for GT3, it's kind of like 2.5 laps to go because they're going to end up, it's going to be interesting how it works out. But either way, I think Kedrowski has run behind Shane Hunter enough to kind of get a figure out, a scope of, hey, I need to enter here, I need to brake here, I need to do this. And he's really kind of taken that to heart and has really figured out what he needs to do. And it looks like Shane Hunter may just be making some basic mistakes here. So he missed the apex there. A little bit of games going on, high-low. He's going to give Kedrowski the high line there. Maybe he's going to get a crossover that might actually work better for Kedrowski. I don't think it did through the kink section there, but now they're going to head through Parabolica into the hairpin. If I'm Kedrowski here, I actually want the left side of the track. Give Hunter the bad entry here. Give me the good entry into the hairpin here and do the crossover. Kedrowski hard on the binders into the hairpin. He's going to do it, I think, exactly that. No, he couldn't quite complete the crossover, but he'll have the momentum on exit here into Mercedes. That is Peter Mahler, the slower car, as we are on the white flag lap here with Mitch Heller kind of leading this thing down. But we got to watch this battle here in GT3 for the win here through the Mercedes complex here. I do believe we are at right now. Yes, we are into the Mobile 1 corner. Right-hand look here for Kedrowski into the stadium section. Going to be hard to pull it off here. These guys are going to have one more lap. Shane Hunter misses the apex of 12, but Kedrowski could not take advantage of it, exiting the stadium section. These guys are going to come in for their last lap. A little bit of separation has come about, but this is going to be Mitch Heller. You know, we talked about self-induced mistakes. Ross Booth did manage to get close into about 4.5 seconds. But that's just not going to be enough. Heller basically ran as perfect of a race as he needs to, and he's going to come through 16 off of the corner, and he is going to win round number 2 here for the Red Sox Racing League at Hockenheim in the LMP class. But GT3 is still on their last live lap here. The gap now has expanded to about 7/10ths of a second. Kedrowski had that really good look into the stadium section, but it kind of backfired on him here as they're going to head into the hairpin. He's going to need to gain some time, and he's really going to cook it in there full send. Tell you, Shane Hunter didn't really hit the apex there, but he manages to get on the accelerator rather well. Keeps the power down and pulls it away to about 3/4 of a second there. Now they're going to enter the Mercedes complex. Hard left-hander, 90 degrees. Looks like Kedrowski gets through that a little bit better. Now the gap about a half second into the stadium section. This is where Kedrowski had the look last time by. Got to be careful not to kick it in the sand here, not to make chronic mistakes. Again, that Hunter just kind of has a late apex into 12 there, and it works well for the exit, but it really makes you think that he overcooked it here. But he's going to exit 14 into the 15-16 complex to finish the lap out. And Shane Hunter is going to hold off the challenge, and he's going to win for GT3. Great bit of driving there by Shane Hunter. Good battle, nice clean battle, more importantly, between the two. And great stuff to watch here. So that is going to complete that down. And let's get ready to give you the final results here from Hockenheim. I had to think about that one for a second. Kind of sad, I know, but let's go ahead and give you the final race results. With that overall win here, kind of running the perfect race here tonight, Mitch Heller from the pole gets it by 4.5 seconds with Ross Booth in second. We have Ryan Robertson with third, Jason Breifogel in fourth, Alex Keatsar top five, and then Les Turner, Bill Pollucky, and Todd Barron-Pietri round out our LMPs. Shane Hunter with that win by 7/10 over Kedrowski. Robert Barros with the third, Andrew Lunsford fourth, Terry Dahl with the fifth, Dwayne McCarthy sixth, Jerry Miller in seventh, Paul Lindsay in eighth, Kevin Kyle with the ninth, and then rounding out the field, our scattered bit of entries there. But let's go down and talk to our race winners this evening, if I can indeed find them. Let's see, I got Mitch Heller here. Let's see if he is hearing me here. I see him in the room, but he is muted, so we'll see if he comes back. And who do I have? Shane Hunter is in the other room. Shane Hunter is readily available, so we'll talk to him. Shane, you got a copy?
Oh, yeah, I hear you.
All right, so you had the race after Peter Mahler kind of had his issue. You kind of had the race under wraps, but Kedrowski with that alternate strategy ended up coming out right with you and really gave you the challenge there. Took a couple looks on you, but you managed to hang on. Talk about that battle and how it was fighting him off.
Well, Mark was definitely making me sweat. I saw him pit early, and I was like, ooh, smart move, smart move. So that was in the back of my mind the whole time. And I just got lucky enough to get out in front of him, and then it was just kind of manage the gap, and had a few LMPs give me a few little scares there, and put up some good action for the, I think, second last lap there. Mark hit a couple dives, and I just tried to stay clean and tried to stay defensive and hold my lines, and it worked out in my favor tonight.
Yeah, it did. I almost thought it was going to backfire on you once there. I think it was headed into the hairpin. You really took a defensive line, and it kind of gave him that good entry, which sometimes gives you the crossover and gives you the run there. Was there any kind of worries about what kind of line you take here, especially with these slow corners and high acceleration exits here?
No, I'd thought about that before, and I basically just really crawled it through the corner, so Mark didn't have a choice but to slow down. Well, he could have drove into me too. That would have been fair game, I guess. But yeah, I just kind of parked it on the corner and did what I needed to do to hopefully hold the line, and then back to the gas nice and smooth and tried to keep it there. So.
Yeah, and it worked out for you, man. So we'll see what happens next week as we head into Chicago. But I know you'll savor in tonight's victory in class. Who do you want to give a shout out to?
Give a shout out to SR Racing. They took me under their wing this year a little bit, and another league I run in, and they've helped me out quite a bit. And Terry and Les, they do a fantastic job of running this league, and it just makes it a real joy to come and run here pretty much every week. Good group of guys, pretty respectful, no BS to put up with. It makes iRacing fun.
And that's exactly why I've been covering this series for so many seasons. Great stuff you guys put on, and congrats again on the win. We'll see if we can talk to you next week at Chicago.
Sounds good. Thanks a lot.
And there's Mitch. I got you.
Corey, I had a hard time figuring out what was wrong if you were trying to get me.
Yeah, well, technical issues are the name of the game. But either way, man, you stunk up the show here. I always talk about you in these broadcasts. I don't know if you catch them, that you kind of have self-induced mistakes that take you out of races that you should have won. But tonight, you made sure that didn't happen. But Ross he gained some time on you, but you still managed to hang on by 4.5. Talk about your race here tonight.
It was great. It was a lot of fun. And speaking of you, speaking about me in previous races, my family or other members that watched the races brought that up. They were really upset with you. And I said, no, you can't get upset at Corey. It's me. I need to get better. So anyways, it was great race tonight. I was able to get a lead in the beginning. I don't know what was going on behind me, but I took advantage of it. So I was able to put a few seconds between myself and the guys behind. And then after seemingly I got to around 10 seconds, I began to try to back off because I was thinking about some of your past broadcasts, making sure that I took advantage of being in the lead and not going too crazy.
And funnily enough, your family will probably tell you, or you if you rewatch it, I said that same exact thing. I said he needs to back off, run 80% and just cruise it down. He did exactly that. I mean, it's almost like people listen to me when I talk. Who knows? But coming into next week, I call probably one of the only wild card races I've seen you guys ever put on. What are you thinking next week, taking these big LMPs to the narrow, bumpy streets of Chicago?
I need some practice there, Corey. I love Long Beach. It's a great time. Actually, I don't think that I've ever raced the LMP2 at Chicago. So I love street courses. Normally, they're very fun. I've had some really good battles with a lot of the guys in Red Sox over the last couple of seasons. So Chicago should be fun. I don't know it like Long Beach, so we'll do some work and should be fun.
Yeah, there's going to be some really sketchy sections of the track there, and it'll be interesting to see how you guys tackle it. But congrats again on the win. Any shout outs you want to give?
Just to yourself and everybody involved with the Red Sox, Les, Terry. It's a great time.
All right, sounds good, man. Congrats again, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Corey.
All right, well, that's a race here for the Red Sox Racing League at Chicago. I want to thank you everyone for tuning in. If you didn't like it, subscribe, of course. Take care of that for us. Share the broadcasts out, friends and family. Let's get those view counts up. Support the league, support the channel. All that fun stuff doesn't cost a thing. Just takes a couple clicks of effort on your part. But stay tuned for Tuesday nights with our coverage of the TNR Master Millwright Big Block Series. And I'm still looking for filling some gaps here on the channel, so we can take a look at www.primetimeratingtv.com if you're looking for some coverage. But that's Corey signing out of the booth. Have a great night, and we'll catch you next time.